This week on Rockstar Superhero. His name is Davidavi Dolev, and you can call him Vidi. His band is Subterranean Masquerade, and the only word for their music is wow. I don't know if I've ever had a more intimate conversation, and the honor was completely mine. Vidi lives in Israel, and like life in that torn country, there's a great dissonance hidden inside. What sets Vidi apart is his ability to speak truth and meaning into everyday trauma. This catharsis allows him to release that darkness within. Now, for the fans of the band, the music provides an opportunity to join them on a musical journey as they celebrate our collective humanity. I will say nothing more, but God bless Vidi. He's my buddy for life, and his music will remain part of my days forever. This is my one-on-one, heartfelt conversation with the singular Davidavi Dolev on the Rockstar Superhero Podcast.
Not a single word, not a piece of paper. I cannot close my eyes any longer. Always waking up in some land station.
Thank you so much for coming. Cool. Yeah, how are you? Are you calling in? Where are you calling in from?
I am in Haifa, Israel, right now.
Wow.
And, everything is great here. Everything is great here.
Yeah.
How are you, man? Where are you?
I'm good. I'm in the Seattle area, and we're probably going to have to deal with a bit of delay, I think. So I will go slow with my questions. Okay.
Yeah, I think we have some interruptions. It's okay. It's also okay if you're going on top of me. It's I'm Israeli. That's how we communicate anyhow. We're just going just like that. I had a Finnish interview, and we felt so rude. You know, they gave us a lot of space between each and every answer, and I didn't know if they're happy with our answers, if they're waiting for us to say something more. It was a true funny culture clash.
Yes.
But thank you for having me, man.
Oh, my honor, my pleasure. Thank you for being here. You have no idea how excited I was to connect with you today. You are one of the most incredible vocalists I've ever heard. And it's really something. So let's be sure I'm saying things correctly here. So it's Davidavi Dolev, right?
Yeah.
But
and
you go
Vidi.
by Vidi, right?
All of my friends call me Vidi. It's not like a stage name or something. It's just my name is very weird in Israel anyhow. So yeah, it's Davidavi Dolev, and you can call me Vidi Dolev. It's okay.
Okay. Well, I like Davidavi, but I will call you Vidi for interview's sake.
Call me Davidavi.
Well, it's an honor to have you.
I answer any name.
No, it's wonderful. Thank you. If I may, let's just jump in. In an artist's life, there's a very significant impact of nature actually over nurture. It's almost like artists only come from artistic families. Is that true with you?
No. Well, my first instinct would say not at all. But both my parents were teachers, and then my father was a gymnastic teacher, and my mother taught literature. None of them really wanted to do it. They did it because their parents told them that this is the right thing to do. And they both changed their occupation during their lifetime. But it was not a very artistic family. I know that nowadays my mom is aspiring to write a book. This was one of her dreams. But no, it was very much very actually the family was very about this. You need to be a lawyer, you need to be an accountant. Like my mother is a good Jewish mother. It's very important to her,
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of took a detour from their plan about their firstborn son. But my brothers are compensating for me, so that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine Jewish culture is difficult to overcome regardless of the religious implications.
I think my parents are actually a very, very interesting generation because well, we're diving deep immediately. I like it. Um, the thing with my parents were like the first generation from my family that was born in Israel.
Mm.
My mother's side is from Romania,
Mm.
and earlier, before Romania, it was the Ukraine and Constantinople,
Mm-hmm.
and my father's side is Polish and from Czechoslovakia.
Explains the Dolev.
So yeah, the Dolev. That's also it. Like the Dolev was actually it's in Hebrew, but they took the letters and they changed. This is part of the thing that they were the first one being born in Israel. My grandparents immigrated after World War II, and so when it comes to identity, uh, the entire idea was to create a new country. It wasn't that long ago.
1947.
And yeah, 47 was the idea. 48, it was
Yeah.
born.
Yeah.
And so my parents, they were born at the end of the 50s, beginning of the 60s. And the entire idea here was not to be Jewish, but to be Israeli. It was
Yeah.
something new. So I don't know about the Jewish culture in terms of religious so much, because everybody were like, we have the traditions, and I know, and we had to study Bible when we were young, but it's really up to you if you're looking for these things,
Mm-hmm.
because what my family wanted is to have a new identity, because
Wow.
they associated in many ways. I think in many ways, Jewish people from Europe after World War II felt weak, and they
Yeah.
wanted to create something new, like a new identity, and the Israeli identity was something that was forming. So example, my mother or my father didn't want to speak with their parents their original languages.
Mm.
They wanted to speak Hebrew.
Wow.
And when I was born, they only wanted to speak Hebrew with me, although they talk other languages. They talk Polish and Romanian, and they talk Yiddish.
Wow.
But this is the thing, and I think the album that we put out now, like Mountain Fever, is actually kind of dealing with these things quite a lot, like what parts of your identity are yours, and what parts of your identity are something that is like inherited in you, and why,
Yeah.
and do we need it, and
Yeah.
how do we need it? So yeah, I hope it answers your questions somehow.
It does. It does. It's actually a perfect answer. I wasn't expecting this either, in the sense of jumping right into these sort of deeper, complex and personal and maybe even spiritual issues. But I think what makes you such a joy is you wear your humanity and your culture and your influences and your talent all on your sleeve, and you present it in this very cohesive way with the band. And you're the best example of an active, very, very active artist I've heard in a long time because you do a lot of things and you've somehow found a way to sound like you are just in one thing and only focused on one thing. I don't know if this makes sense, but when I heard Subterranean Masquerade, I knew this is a man who belongs here, if that makes sense.
In Subterranean,
yes.
I wanted to belong. It's been a process. I work a lot. I'm a workaholic in a way, and it helps me being creative and working in music. It's a remedy for me. It takes away the noises from my head.
Yeah.
So I'm working in a lot of bands, just because I believe that a musician should make music. When I'm not making music, I'm not a musician. I'm something else. I'm doing something else, and I'm something else.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a driving force that I hope that is not going to change. And with Subterranean, and I really had an opportunity to learn new things about myself. Like I was doing progressive metal before, and I was doing experimental music, and I was dubbing for stuff. But I think Subterranean really gave me a place which I was kind of yearning for, a place that at one way things can be very simple. The melodies can be very simple. The vocal lines could be very hooky. And on the other hand, that there is so much color to these guys' music.
Yes.
That it really, really, really allows me to try different things, because we are not only one thing, right?
Yeah.
Like as people. So it was so this was really cool to join the band and be produced by Tomel Pink, the founder. He was producing the album, and he was producing my voices on the album. And it was pretty cool because usually I'm much more bipolar with everything that's going on. And they managed to somehow help me keep my self-expression and everything that I wanted to put through the album, but at the same time kind of maintained a certain shape for this thing. So I like to think about it as filming a movie, and each movie has his own kind of director and filmographer, cinematographer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel I belong now. I thank you for noticing it. It's a cool thing to feel you belong somewhere.
Yeah, I listened to the whole album, of course, and I will tell you it's really great from top to bottom. I say this every show, but I'll say it again to you. I only have people here that I really genuinely want here because I've heard something that touches me in my soul, or that creates a movement in me, something that impacts the energy inside of me.
I'm even happier to be here now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, your voice is impeccable to me, and it reminds me of one of my favorite singers of all time. And that person is Peter Murphy from Bauhaus. Are you familiar with Peter?
I'm familiar with Peter, but I haven't heard a lot of Bauhaus. Don't tell anyone.
Well, you're much younger than me. It makes sense why you wouldn't have. But I will tell you, there's a depth and a graininess, but it's full of life, and it has this weight that carries into the music, and it's beautiful. And I just wanted to say I love it. There's no question here. It's just a comment.
What should be okay? I'm going to listen. After we're done, I'm going to put Bauhaus now. I have to listen. What do you propose I should start with?
Oh my gosh. I would actually tell you to listen to Peter Murphy's solo album. I can't remember what it's called. I want to say it's called Cuts You Up Let me look it up. Yeah, Cuts You Up is a song by Peter Murphy, but let me see. People are going to love this. It came out in 1990, so it's 31 years old. But the album is called Deep.
Okay, Deep.
Yeah.
Peter Murphy. Solo.
Yeah.
Cuts You Up.
It's incredible.
Do you have a computer next to you now? Because I'm on the phone.
I'm on my computer.
Okay, let's figure out something.
Okay.
Could you write down Subterranean Masquerade Cuts You Up?
Sure.
Because I think that the first thing that Tomer did with the band was a cover.
Wow.
And I think Thomas Lindbergh from At the Gates was the singer, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I was very young. I was 9 years old when Tomer started the band.
Oh my gosh.
But what do you find?
Well, so hang on a second here. I'm gonna That's it. That's the song. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's literally it.
It's like I made a Uri Geller move. It's like
I'm not editing this out of the edit. Oh, this is incredible. Yeah, the fact. Oh my God. So they recorded it 21 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think this was the first thing they put out. I think this is the first thing Subterranean Masquerade put out.
Wow. So this is like this is almost like this weird spiritual moment where we got this cool God download of you know what it is? It's Peter Murphy.
It's Peter Murphy.
Yes.
Wow. Yes. Okay.
That is insane, Vidi. Oh my God. Wow.
I have to tell this to Toma. I will tell him tomorrow.
Yeah. Because I'm not lying. I didn't know. I didn't see that. You know, I mean, I wanted to stay current with the material. I didn't want to reference before you were there. You know, hey, I really love that sound from 2012. You're like, well, that's not me. You know what I mean?
That's not me. Yeah.
But there it is.
That's cool. Yeah. So that's cool. Okay, I've never heard the cover. I just learned from an interview 2 weeks ago that I've heard that Toma was doing. I've learned about it. I didn't know that Thomas Lindbergh from At the Gates sang in the band. I didn't know these things.
Oh my God.
And it's like shame on me that I don't know the history of my own band. But I was 9. You know? Okay, so I have to check it out now. That's it. Okay, Peter Murphy, here I come. I come.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. He's one of my top 3 favorite vocalists of all time. He just has this really guttural, deep, powerful, natural, warm voice, and your voice is really, it's so similar. So that's why I love it, man.
Okay. Thank you for a big compliment. I'll hear it after the interview. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me ask this question. You are a very busy man. You mentioned a little bit about being bipolar. Do you really mean bipolar, or are you one of these guys who's really busy, but you just have a really great ability to focus?
I am bipolar, and I'm using the music and my voice as my own therapy.
Wow.
And I didn't know when I started, and I just went all over the place with my vocals. It's because I love this kind of music that goes everywhere, but I realized that it's really curing me. So being at work really, really made it much better. There were some very difficult years, but during the last years, there's just like a flow of work, and I know when I need to rest and charge, and when I need to go like boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Usually it's I just write a lot, and I'm trying to be in the studio as much as possible. And this helps. There is a lot of music because I need it.
Wow.
It's good for me.
Yeah.
Before even I start, being artistic about things, it's just the best cure that I've had.
Yeah.
And
incredible.
so yeah, and with my voice, I'm just sometimes people are feeling that maybe it's too much, maybe I'm changing a lot, but I'm really just trying to reflect in a way my own experiences, and my own experience can shift a lot. So being able to be there on a stage with a microphone and just let my voice be some sort of a pipe to all of my emotions, it's good, man. It's good.
Yeah. Well, your music has a weight and a gravity to it, and it's going to impact everyone around you. It can't help it. It's the nature of it's the nature of what you're creating. But I'm curious if being Israeli by birth or sort of Jewish by default, I don't know about religion for you personally, but there has to be a lot of weight in just being Israeli and the social implications of your family living in Haifa and all these different things. Is there a struggle to being there? Is it hard?
I love your questions. I'm thinking deeply how to answer this. I don't know if it's harder being anywhere else. You're born into a certain world, and I think there are people in this world that are having it much harder than me or than the Israeli people.
Yeah,
I have to say it. At the same time, it's a very young society. It has advantages and it has disadvantages because people are trying to identify themselves. Some people are doing it through their roots. Some people are doing it through looking at the future, their future plans, and how they see things. I think it's never easy when you're born into a reality that the entire history is filled with trauma.
Yeah.
And actually, I had a show in Basel, in Switzerland, a few years ago, and we met an older gentleman who was a dancer in the 60s and the 70s.
Wow.
And he came from a Jewish family from Chicago, and he ended up in Basel. He lived for a while in Paris, and then he ended up in Basel. And we had a dinner with him, and we had a very, very, very interesting conversation about what it means being Jewish, or what is the identity of the Jewish group. What is it? You have people from North Africa, you have people from Asia, you have people from Europe, from the US. It's everywhere, really, because we are in a diaspora. But the interesting part was that I believed back then that a group is being created from a crisis.
Yes.
Right? And he disagreed. He thought it's a matter of traditions. And he told me something very, very interesting. He said that the Jewish melancholy is something that I have in me and that I don't understand it enough, and that I need to sing more Yiddish and Romanian songs.
Wow.
And that when he saw the show, it was a metal show. but he said, no, no, no. The way you guys are playing, the way you guys are moving, the way you guys are singing is Hasidic, is like Orthodox Jewish
Yeah.
music for weddings or for birth or for just spiritual music, and I couldn't see it. I was like, no, this is something else. My grandmother would. I didn't see this Jewishness. I saw exile. I was talking about the exile of the group that creates the group.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that a lot of things in being Israeli, or being like, the thing about Jewishness is asking questions, doubting everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult to doubt everything, and doubt yourself, because even when you're right, you need to check if you're wrong. And there's a lot of behaviors that comes from old traditions that does not go with modern society. And I think that in these ways, it's very difficult it's hard to be Israeli in the way that you are divided in a way, because each person has his own vision of how things should be. And the extremists would try and make everyone their way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you're a person that asks questions, it's going to be hard being here right now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But the food is great.
Oh, go ahead. I would love to visit. Someday I will, and you and I will share a gigantic meal. How's that?
Sounds really good.
Good.
I love that.
Yeah. You know, I don't necessarily want to stay on this topic, but it's really fascinating to me. I do want to stay on this topic, but I also know that listeners are like, wait a minute, I thought we were going to talk about a progressive metal record.
We're here to talk about music.
Yeah. But I do have one more question regarding this. And,
sure.
And it really stems from post World War II. But you know, when so many Jews were slaughtered during that period of existence, and then so many remaining Jews figured we must go home and reestablish our nation, and but then at the same time saying, I don't know if we're going to make this about Judaism as much as it is about being Israeli, right? Rebuilding Israel, and bringing back its power, and because whether you believe in God, a creator, or not, this isn't an accident, right? I mean, I don't think things are accidents, and I think everything has purpose, even if it's awful. Like that good things can come out of extraordinarily awful, evil circumstances. And again, maybe this isn't a question so much as a comment, but you talk about being bipolar. It feels to me as an outsider, I'm not Jewish, I'm not Israeli, I'm an American, which is like the worst kind of in a lot of ways, because we're so arrogant. We make it about ourselves. But from a distance, I'm telling you, Vidi, it feels like Israel is bipolar. The nation itself doesn't know who it is, doesn't know where it's going, doesn't know if it believes in God, doesn't know if, right? It just doesn't know. And it's in so much chaos. I just can't imagine being there. But this all leads to one really silly, simple question, which is, Israel's constantly at war and they're forcing their youth to fight the battles for them. Were you ever brought in? Were you drafted, or is there a requirement still? I don't know the rules in Israel.
Okay. The rules are to be, you have to be drafted when you're 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You're being drafted for 3 years. Women are being drafted for 2 years. Not everyone are going to be a fighter. Actually, most of the people are not fighting. There are many, many, many things that to create such a system.
Mm-hmm.
So for your question, it was a law.
Yeah.
I was drafted.
Wow.
I didn't want to. And I did not finish my service because of my depression. That got it was exploded within a militaristic system. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that was a problem. That was a problem. There was a lot of pressure to remain in the system. I was medicated with the wrong stuff, because if you don't want the system to spit you out, then they have to write something else. They can't write bipolar. Bipolar will take the profile down and you're out. So they are writing other things. It's a system. It's not because it's the Israeli military. Sure. It's a military system. So they're having, a lot of things that not always make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was taking the wrong medications there because of the pressure to remain in the system, and it didn't work. And then everything exploded. And after a year and 4 months, I was finally able to go back to civil lives. But I want to say something else. We're talking about Israel being bipolar. Israel don't know where to go. There are a lot of visionaries here and a lot of positive leaders. We don't hear them enough. Not outside. They are here. And I think that one idea is very important, and this is not about choosing one thing. It's not Israel is this, Israel is Jewish, or Israel is Israeli, or Israeli, what is it? It's about pluralism. It's about being everything. It's about being a place for anyone who wants to live here. And it's about being yourself. So if I'm sitting, in a dinner room with someone who's identifying himself as a religious Jew from wherever, and at the same time we have an Arabic person in the city living with us, it's our responsibility to make everyone feel at home, and it's our responsibility to live together.
Yes.
And I think it's not about coexisting. I think it's about existing.
Yes.
And I think it's, like I don't like the word coexisting because man, I'm going through airports and I look much more like my cousins, my brothers, my Arabic brothers, than my family from Poland. So,
right.
The police stops me anyhow. Outside, like when I go travel in Europe, many times I got stopped because they didn't know where I'm from. There was the Syrian refugees crisis, and they stopped me as well.
Yeah.
So this is kind of ridiculous, this entire thing.
It is. It is.
But I don't want to talk. The thing is with politics that I don't want to speak in the name of any band that I'm playing in. I'm just feeling, being bipolar, It's just, if you're not embracing all of the parts, you're going to fall apart.
Yes. Yes.
And it's the same. So to your idea about Israel being bipolar, Israel has a lot of center, but Israel also have very loud polars.
Mm.
And this needs to be embraced, and this needs to get balanced in order to get healthy. And now we have new leadership. It's only 1 week old after 12 years of the same leader.
Right. Netanyahu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And personally, I hope this means, and the new leadership is built out of many parties with different ideas. They don't necessarily agree with each other, but they agreed on one thing, and that things can't stay the same because it's not working.
Mm.
And I think it's about corruption more than anything else. And I think that they are selling us the story. The corrupted people are selling us this story that we are not the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
divide and conquer. It's what they do in the United States.
Yeah, they're doing it everywhere right now. It's everywhere. But I think that you can find center. And I think that it's mostly center.
Yeah.
I hope it somehow answers what you're thinking. I'm just thinking out loud with you. I'm not an ambassador of anything. I'm not a politician. I'm just figuring out my own way here, and my friend's way, and my family's way.
Yeah. No, your perspective is lovely, and it's important, and it's more than valid. I'm always hesitant to say something is right or wrong or mostly right, but I love how you worked on defining the difference between how do you deal with someone and how do you just wrap your arms around them, right? We are all human. We're all different.
Exactly. And that's the thing with this album.
Yes.
Because we have we're playing music from all over the world.
Yeah.
And we are in the Middle East, and it's like Middle Eastern progressive metal, but we are trying to portray the place that we're from, and the place that we're from is everywhere.
Yeah. Did you pick the band, or did the band pick you?
I got a phone call. I was living in Scandinavia for 3 or 4 years, on off.
Yeah.
And I got back in 2017 to Israel, and Tomer called me. He heard one of my projects, and they were looking for someone to play the live shows, not to be a formal member, because they had Kjetil Nordhus from Green Carnation and Tristania on the vocals. But he couldn't tour very much because very good things happened to him in his home in Norway. So they gave me a call just to come as a replacement.
Wow.
But then things really clicked. Things really, really clicked, and things worked out for everyone. And here I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here, because I wouldn't have met you if it weren't for those beautiful accidents, those moments. But none of those things would have happened, Vidi, if you hadn't have been such a prolific performer and had tried so many things before, you found this band. So good for you. You deserve it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a new album that just came out, Mountain Fever. You mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, I've listened to the whole thing. I'll be the first person to tell you Snake Charmer is an epic piece of music. I can't stand how much I love that song, but I wanted to start the talk about the album with some lyrics that I read. Can I bring that up?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
Okay.
But my English is not perfect also in the lyrics, so apologies. American audience.
No trouble. So in that, you repeat this twice. It's slightly different, but you say, and I'm reading from the words here. It says, "It's that defecated light, a halo that commands me ill. I'm failing to truly come home. If I could make amends and show you how I feel." And that hit me, right or wrong, that hit me in my soul, because it sounds like a man shouting at God and apologizing all at the same time. And I don't know what it means. I don't know what you meant, but that's how I interpreted it. What do those words mean to you?
I wanted to start the album with the conflict that I'm experiencing within myself, that makes the person that speaks in the album travel through all of the other songs.
Yeah.
And it is spiritual. It is to God, but it's also about addictions, and also about things that are pulling you down, and forces that, when they are not being managed correctly, they're not only self-destructing, but they can harm the people around you. So it's like in two layers. It's between a man and his God, but it also between a man and his friends, his surroundings. Yeah.
Wow. See, again, as an outsider, as an American and I don't suffer from bipolar, but I have struggled with depression on and off in the last 10 years. I mean, I'm going to be 55 this year, Vidi, and it feels old. but I will tell you that I was surprised that these feelings of inadequacy or failure sprung up out of seemingly nowhere. And I can't imagine it being amplified like what you experience. But my comment to you, and reading these lyrics, it seems even more important to say to you as an outsider. I think you, my friend, are favored. I do. I think you're favored. And I'm not making this a religious thing, but I'm saying that you have been gifted with the artistic abilities to sing, to songwrite, to be a poet, to be a medium, someone to gift others with the beauty that's inside of you. And the only way those things exist is if you're troubled. That's the only place they come from, Vidi. So not that I wish you were more troubled, but that troubled nature creates beautiful things that other people need to hear. And you being on the show today is proof that transparency means everything.
I think, thank you, first of all. Like I'm letting it go in, what you said. Thank you for saying it. I think, you're talking about your depression as well. And I think many people generally, but also in our scene, like in the metal scene, rock scene, progressive scene, artistic scene, we carry something with us.
We do.
Which allows us to connect to certain channels and create this community.
Yes.
I had a. Do you want? Have you read the X-Men? You read the X-Men,
Yeah.
right? Or watched it?
Yeah, I certainly am very familiar with it. Yes.
So there is Cyclops,
Yes.
right? Now his thing is that he really can, right? He can't control like the laser beams out of his eyes, and he really needs to meet Professor X and to teach him how to use it.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I just felt like mental illness could be a superpower. And I really love the X-Men. So when this Cyclops thing, or any of the characters, but really, I don't know if I'm favored as much if I was lucky to meet people that helped me on purpose or not on purpose to use these energies when I'm troubled in a way that will either empower me in a positive way that is not on anyone's expense,
Right,
or hopefully empower others. I hope that you are right about being able to give something to other people. It's meaningful.
Yeah.
It's meaningful. So mental illness can be your superpower. The depression has the reason, because I can't find really a reason for the body to have something like that within ourselves. Maybe neurologists or psychiatrists can explain this to me, right? But I don't understand why a body would like to self-destruct, or a soul would want to self-destruct.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Why do you think?
I love that you just said this, because I so want to talk about this.
Yeah, sure.
I really truly believe that. So we'll start over here, because I told myself
I'm
where
so
to edit.
sorry.
No, it's okay. It's too bad, because it was really good. I believe, and this is my belief, okay? This is my belief, that the body is like the car and the soul is the engine, but they don't touch. That the soul is stuck, trapped in jail in a body that is falling apart, that needs the right food and rarely gets it. The physical food, the spiritual food, the relationships. I really believe that the soul is just sitting in there going, "Oh man, come on." And somebody like you, your transparency and your willingness to share is so important, because you're letting out the very best parts of you. See, the soul is unaffected. It's waiting to speak, and you give it the opportunity to speak through your words. And Vidi, even though we've had all of these interruptions today, I feel, and I think you feel the same way, something special is happening between us.
Yeah, that's a great conversation and a great connection.
As people that have nothing to do with culture, religion, sex, even music. It's about the connection of humanity.
True that.
Yeah.
That's good. And it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that's where the favor comes from. I think deep down inside, Vidi is a perfect, unblemished, unbroken soul. And we experience him. We experience his soul through the music that you've created in the past and the music you're doing with Subterranean now.
I'm taking it in. I'm
It's
just
real.
taking it. Thank you.
It's one of the most beautiful things I've experienced in a really long time. I do hear a lot of great music. There's a lot of stuff I love. I know I'm talking a lot today, but there is something radical and beautiful and unparalleled. You can't, nobody sounds like you, and nobody sounds like your band. And not only do I love it, but the world needs to know about it. It's that important, and you're that special.
I think the guys in Subterranean are amazing musicians,
They are.
and I think they have a very clear vision of where they want to go, and they have almost 25 years of experience in this band.
Yeah.
The guys are playing in other projects as well.
Wow.
Like doing Shy, our keyboard player, is playing trance music. He's doing electronic music on his side. His name is Electric Monk, and he's doing just like mantra stuff like that from one side, and the other side is like very spiritual EDM. And Tomer can't stop writing music. We have really great people in the band that are not afraid to research in front of the audience. You know, so sometimes it's a hit and miss. Sometimes we can make something that is not going to work, but the transparency that you're talking about exists in this band very much. This is one of the reasons that I really love working with Subterranean Masquerade. There's a lot of inspiration in the people there. I learn a lot from them. They're great.
Yeah. Does Mountain Fever have a central message?
What Tomer would tell you, and I love this answer, and this is why I answer it as well.
Okay.
Tomer, the fever is a spiritual fever. The mountain is the mountain that we wrote the music on top of.
Wow.
Tomer lives in Golan Heights. It's just on the north of Israel, on the Syrian border.
Mm-hmm.
And until this album, Tomer would always leave the country in order to write his next album. And most of the time, and he did it once in Brooklyn, which has a lot of Hasidic influences there. And he did it many times in India, in Dharamsala. And this is the first time that Tomer is writing an entire album in his home. It was rough winter, 3 months, north of Israel. It's cold, unlike what people think. It used to be a volcano. The ground is, I don't know how to say it in English, but if you know how volcanoes work, then you can imagine the ground. It's beautiful in the spring, but in the winter, it's not fun. And Tomer wanted to write Mountain Fever and call it Mountain Fever because he wanted the album to be the cure for what he feels. Stuck, 3 months, very hectic time. So the name is Mountain Fever. The message is that we are curing ourselves with this album. So we're dealing with the mountain fever throughout the album.
Wow. So can I tell you my takeaway?
Sure, man.
So it's kind of a religious thing, but
Go.
When I saw this and then I read the lyrics and then I listened to it, my brain told me this is a man's journey going up the mountain like Moses, like a 10 Commandments sort of thing, getting closer to the Creator, having all the questions, all the fear, and then receiving something to come back with. And it's nothing like you expected. And now you don't know what to do with it.
I like it. We didn't have Moses in mind, but we did have Prophet Elijah, who's
Okay.
like the second
Yep.
most important for some
Yep.
people. He went to the sky on chariots of
Yep.
fire.
Mm-hmm.
He really had some hard questions, and the Lord had some very hard critic towards him because he was pretty radical,
Yes.
very rageful prophet.
Yeah.
So it's cool. We had in mind in a lot of points in the album the journey that Elijah had, because Haifa is on the Carmel Mountain, and the Carmel Mountain is where most of the stories Elijah the
Yeah.
prophet is. So yeah, and you can find it also on the artwork. You can
Wow.
find the chariots of fire and the entire psychedelic prophetic scene.
I didn't
Uh,
even look.
Really? Check it out.
I mean, I didn't. I looked at it, but I didn't. I wasn't looking for that, right? And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I just didn't notice. But here I was trying to be all smart and witty about it.
But you are right. But you're right. There's a lot of spiritualism in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
album.
I think
It's
that's what
there.
attracts me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you're not that far away, and yeah, the question remained asked, and there are bigger questions at the end. Like we chose to finish the album in a way that we found stays an open end. We didn't really want to finish the album.
Yeah. Okay, so that leads into the next question I have, which is my
Sure.
last music-related question: is where do you go from here? Do you remain in the band? I mean, is the band a full-time working unit? Do you write new material with the band? Do you go off and you continue your journey?
Hopefully, I stay in the band.
I do too.
Yeah. As far as I know, I'm in the band.
Okay. Well, I mean, I wanted to make sure it wasn't like a session thing. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, I want you to come in for a couple of years and let's see if it sticks, you know?
So right now we are already writing like the next thing.
Good.
We have seven skeletons for songs.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I think it's going like towards a little bit more accessible way musically, but it's going to be even more personal. And so we are working on that right now. We're working on tours. We really want to tour with this album. We felt that this album becomes as good because we could perform. The band wasn't touring until 2016. The band was formed in 97. So it's almost 20 years.
Wow.
just being a studio project.
Yeah.
So once we start touring, suddenly we realized how Mountain Fever should sound like.
Yeah.
So what we're doing right now in Israel, thank God, there is a break from COVID here, and the shows are back. So we started playing again. We headlined some festival. We are launching the album next week here in Tel Aviv. There's like big plans for the summer.
Yeah.
We're going to play in September in Romania in Maximum Rock. And hopefully in 2022 we will tour with the album while working on the next one that is already being born. We're pregnant right now. And
that's perfect.
Yeah. So hopefully, if things, you know what, I after COVID you cannot say anything anymore, right? Like
no,
like
you just
this.
don't know what'll stick.
Yeah, exactly. But we're working very, very hard. The band is a full unit. We have 7 members. We have 6 people that are playing live.
Incredible.
And there is no plan of stopping what we're doing right now. We feel that we're on a good flow, and we want to keep on going.
Yeah. Well, I want you to keep going.
We need to come to your place and play for you. You know.
You do, and I promise you, if you ever make it here, I will bring so many people. I will personally guarantee. It would just be a wonderful experience to spend some time with you, but to see it happen in front of me. You know, the music is a sonic masterpiece. It's beautiful and it's challenging, and it warms the deepest parts of me. And I know I'm gushing a lot today, but it's very special, Vidi. It is very special.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
and thank you for bringing us here, you know, to speak about very interesting things, very surprising things.
Oh, good.
You know, I hope that whoever is listening will find it at least as half as enjoyable that you found it, and will be happy.
That's the most beautiful thing you can say. I don't want to ruin this by asking something silly at the end, so we'll just end there. But I will tell you, my friend, you are now my friend. We are not acquaintances anymore.
I feel the same.
We are connected to the deepest parts of our being, and I want the listeners to know that if you struggle with depression, if you struggle being bipolar, if you struggle with something that you feel embarrassed by, talk with someone, because somebody else has experienced it. Somebody else needs to hear your perspective, and somebody else can't wait to share that you can get through it.
Yeah, be like Cyclops.
Yes, be like Cyclops. Yes, that is perfect, my friend. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
We're gonna blow this up, my brother.